Hi everyone, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel. Part 21 now of this Vulcan build, and we're very nearly the end. This is going to be maybe even the last part, probably another one or two. So what we've done, we've got our decals on, we've gone round with the Modeller's World oils thinner and cleaner, remove the carrier film wherever we thought there was going to be a risk of silvering. I've also gone round the edge of the roundels and stuff because there's an edge there that can pick up on the weathering stuff. So basically I've just noticed there's a bit of dust down in there, so I'm going to come in with a 1000 grit and just take that away. Okay, not that it really matters, because once it's got a flat cut on it, none of it's going to show anyway. So basically we've done all our brown bits. I've learnt now that thanks for telling me, whoever it was that told me in the comments, these are actually bare fiberglass. So whatever colour you use there, it doesn't really matter. It would have started off sort of probably a yellowy colour and then turned brown over time. So what we've got to do now, we've got to get ready and give it a gloss coat. And the reason I'm going to give it another gloss coat, you're probably thinking, how many bloody gloss coats are you going to do? The reason I do that is obviously the decals have got an edge. So when we come in with washes and stuff, the wash may pick up on the edge of the decal. So what we're going to do is sort of seal it in. At the moment we've got the actual surface of the model here, and then you've got a decal slopped on top. So you've got an edge where the wash could get under or cling to, and you'll end up with a line around the decal. So we give it a gloss coat, sealing the decals, and that way you've got a smooth surface and then it won't pick up on it. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, you can see areas like here on this wing, just under my finger, you can see where there's watermarks from the decal solutions and stuff. So I'm going to get a clean paper towel and just wet it, get it quite wet, okay, and then just literally wash the model down. Okay, and make sure that we remove all of that decal setting solution we've got absolutely everywhere, because once you've clear coated, you've basically sealed anything in and it will look awful. If you notice anything after you've done it, it's a pain. I made a mistake on one of my biggest builds ever, and I noticed it on the tail. I had some watermarks, and it was under a load of clear coat and washes and everything, and it was just too late to do anything about it. So that was a bit of a pain. So I won't be making that mistake again. We can see here that whatever it was I just showed you needs quite a rub to get it off. So we better make sure we give the whole thing a good rub. You might be better off with like t-shirt material rather than paper towel. Paper towel tends to fall apart, but especially the cheap stuff. But we just really need to go over and just wipe over everywhere where there's decals to make sure we get rid of all that solution. And in this case, this model, they are everywhere. So there we go. That's that done. Okay, so it's ready now for a clear coat, and I'll give it a clear coat and then I'll come back. I'm just going to make sure in this area here, I remember there were some watermarks on here that I saw earlier. So just going to make sure there's nothing there. And then we can give it a clear coat, and hopefully the decals will all just blend in like they're painted on. Right, so we're back. This is like, I don't know, 10 hours later now. And what I did, rather than give the whole thing a gloss coat, I did a localised gloss coat on the decal areas where the decals were, so around here. And everywhere there's a decal, I did the whole nose, because obviously it's covered in decals. But it's just basically, as I say, to seal them in. So what I'm going to do now, 2500 grit sponge, okay? And just very lightly just go over where I've sprayed, just in case there's any dry areas where there's overspray around where I've sprayed, just to make sure, because any dry areas or anything will pick any wash up or anything, they'll pick it up much better than an area that hasn't had a secondary gloss coat on it. So basically I just want to make sure I don't have any dry areas of overspray or anything, so we can go around and just lightly just sand over the areas that we're going for. So there we go. Had a few questions about Deco Colors. These are darker than the ones in this kit for these roundels. Now the ones in the kit are a little bit more purple. So somebody asked the question, how do they compare to the Victor ones? So I looked at the Victor ones, and the Victor ones are kind of in between. So these are Air Deco, I think, aftermarket. Then you've got the Cartograph decals in the Victor kit, which are slightly lighter than this. And then you've got the Cartograph decals in this kit that are slightly lighter than the Victor. So, I don't know. I mean, do Cartograph decide on the colours, or do Cartograph print what they're told to print? I don't know. So, you know, we all know that Cartograph are the best decals. Well, one of the best decals. But our Cartograph, I'm trying to think how to put this, you know, if your favourite fish and chip shop does the best steak and kidney pie and it's a Fray Bentos pie, it doesn't make that the best chip shop. It just means that your favourite pie is Fray Bentos. Fray Bentos is a pie manufacturer for you people that don't live in the UK. I'm just going to get a stiff brush in here and just brush out that dust. So, right, so I've done all that now, and it's literally that quick. You've seen me do that live on camera. No sort of messing about, no turning the camera off, no editing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this a flory wash, okay? And then I'm going to seal that in with a matte coat, and then we'll do some proper weathering and stuff. Basically, these washes, they're clay based, and they are basically just to pick up panel lines and make everything sort of pop a little bit. And the beauty of these, if you don't like them, they can be washed out. You can see this one is very old. You can see on there, I've got new February 2011. So the other thing is, keep a brush for flory washes. I've got this one here. You can see it's got flory wash written on it. Don't ever use this brush in anything else, because if you have other chemicals like enamels or hot thinners and stuff in your brush, because it soaks up into the ferrule, you'll destroy your wash. So what most people do is recommend decanting it into a pot or something and then using it there, and then if your brush is contaminated, you can go from there and just waste that little bit you've decanted. So what we can do with this is the dark dirt, so I'm just going to brush this all over where there's panel lines. In fact, I might just brush it all over the model, and then what we're going to do is let it dry, and then with a damp cloth we're going to wipe it off, and you will see that basically what this stuff does, it will sit in all the panel lines, and it will just make the panel lines pop. As you can see here, as I go along here, you can see it's going into the panel lines, and it will just sit in there. You know, you don't want to be using a black, because a black is just too much. But you want to make sure it goes in there, goes into the panel lines, like so. So I've got a bit deeper into the pot now, and you can see I'm getting a lot darker now. And this is the beauty with the flory washes. You don't have to be careful. You can just throw them on, you can spray them on, whatever. I've never actually sprayed them on because I've never been too sure about how you get the sort of clay out of the airbrush at the end of it all. You can see we're brushing this on now. It's going in those panel lines. I'm going to give it another shake because I'm finding it settling very, very fast. As I say, it's 10 years, it's over 10 years old, this one. So you can see how long it lasts. I've got another bottle here which is even older, but I think I've contaminated it with something else. But just brush that all over. If you remember on the flory site, you've probably seen this a million times before. There's all sorts of different techniques for getting it off. You can use a dry cloth, wet cloth, put it onto a matte coat, put it onto a gloss coat like I'm doing here. And if you put it onto a gloss coat, then it will basically just stay in the panel lines. So basically on the nose here, I'm only going to worry about where there's panel lines, because it's pointless just painting the whole nose, because there's only a couple of panel lines on there. But remember, if you've got bad seam lines, you know, if you've messed up on your seam lines or whatever, your seams on your fuselage, it will sit in there and it will show them up as well. You can see it's drying very, very fast. It's quite warm, so it will dry pretty fast. Just brushing it on, brushing it all over, and then we'll let it dry. So I'm going to turn the camera off, finish off doing this. I'll do the underside as well, and then I'll come back when we're ready to get it off. Okay, so you can see there we've painted it all over the upper surfaces, all over the underside. Haven't done the gear doors and the Bombay because all that is just plastic parts that are going to pop out. But I have done the actual parts we're going to be using. No real point in doing these. I've put some on, but basically they're just smooth. There's nothing to pick up. There's a little bit of detail on the front gear door, on the nose gear doors, and a little bit of detail on the Bombay doors as well. So we'll just have it all sort of blending in and matching together, rather than having a sort of all the panel lines on here exposed and then a stark white Bombay door, which will look a bit silly. And if you're wondering, in case you haven't heard me say before, I'm doing the jet pipes absolutely last. After we've given it a clear coat, a matte coat and everything, I'll do the jet pipes then, because the thing is, if we start getting in there with Alclads and metallizers and stuff, then what's going to happen is I've got to mask them off to do the varnishes and stuff, and then what you do is you ruin your metallic finishes. So basically that's what I'm doing. I've left them until the very end. So we'll see how that all looks when it's all done. So we're going to let all this dry now, and then I'm going to go over a damp cloth, wipe it all off. I'll just give you a little preview of how it's going to look. In case you're a little impatient, but just get a damp cloth, paper towel, and just wipe off in the direction of flow. You can go forwards or backwards. But just don't do it like this. Make sure you keep it in the direction of flow. And you can see, I'm off camera, but you can see that the actual panel lines now are highlighted by the wash. Now, one advice, if you are new to the hobby and you've been practicing scribing and you've made a few mistakes, might be a good idea not to do this, because it will really show them up. Okay, so but you can do this with a dry cloth, and as I say, if you do it on a matte paint, it will stick on the surface a lot more and it will stain the whole surface. But because this is on a gloss smooth surface, it will only stay in the panel lines and not actually stick to the surface. So you can see there we've got our panel lines being highlighted by the Flory wash, and I'm going a little bit too soon here. I should let it dry out a bit more, which I will do. I'll probably do this in the morning now. This is night time. Let it dry out, and then we can really sort of work it in. You can go in circles then, and you can push it into the panel lines off of your dirty cloth. You can push it back in and your panel lines will pick it up. Okay, so you can see there we've got some staining going on here where it's picking up in some overspray, which is good. So you can see we've got this blotchiness coming through, which is what we want. And yeah, really good stuff, this. Unfortunately though, it's not a lot of good when it comes to raised panel lines. So anyway, I'm going to leave it a bit longer because I'm doing this a bit too soon. What it is, it's going to be wetter in the panel lines because it's obviously thicker, so it's wet in the panel lines. So when you drag over with a damp cloth, you're just pulling it all out. So that's the problem there. So I'm going to put some back in. There we go. Okay, but you don't need everything to be looking all perfect and even anyway. It's just an effect, just to show the panel lines really. You know, we all know in real life you can't see the panel lines on a real aircraft. You can't see them. So, you know, what are we doing? It's just making your model look a bit more interesting rather than just having a flat finish, a flat white underside rather than... There we go, just finish off that little area there, get in that corner there where the engines... Just give that a good old clean. And you can see the effect we're getting now, and you can see we're getting this blotchiness down here on the wing, which is cool. We've got this panel line showing up, and you know, really good stuff. There are another couple of manufacturers out there that have made it, but to be honest, I tend not to use one. I've never bought them because I think this was Phil Flory's idea, and other people have jumped on the bandwagon. I think, I'm not too sure about that, but I don't use it on everything I do. There we go. So I'm going to leave that to dry, do the rest tomorrow. You can see the top It's still wet in these panel lines. If I just wiped over there, that would just pull all that out. So let it dry. You can see we've got this area here is dry. We can just wipe over that and off it comes. Okay. And I've seen this also used on black aircraft where the panel lining, you can see there, it's almost lighter than the actual the green paint, which gives an interesting effect. You can see here it's darker than it is in the green paint, so it does give you quite a nice effect, and when it's got a matte coat on it, it will look lovely, I can assure you. So give that a few hours to dry, and then we'll come back and rub it all off. And this is the problem now with these videos, it's, you know, it's a half-hour video, it takes me 3 days to make. I'll see you in a minute. Right, here we are the next day now. Just one thing I want to show you. If you remember, I said about how this stuff, this is the Flory Dark Dirt wash, clings to matte paint better than it does to gloss. If you look on that ECM panel there, you can see the effect you can get. You can rub that really hard and it kind of ingrains itself into the paint. So it's really, really good for a sort of dirty, muddy look or just a dirty, weathered look. We've done all the bomb doors, I've wiped it all off. So I'm going to carry on now and get the rest of the plane done. So as you can see, I can use a dry paper towel and rub it. Okay. I'm going to go in circles. I'm not going to go in the direction of flow, because what I found is if you've got a direction of flow, you just wipe it out of the panel line. So doing this is actually pushing it back in. And as you can see, I'm wiping it quite hard and it's not removing some of it. So if you slightly dampen the cloth, okay, paper towel should I say, really better off doing this with like an old t-shirt material. It means you're not pushing so hard and there's less chance of you damaging anything. You see, this is the trouble with using paper towel, you get these bits coming off. So just go like this, go around, just removing everything that we've put on there. There we go. So as you can see, you get a really good effect and your panel lines all will start to pop. As I was saying, I wouldn't advise this if you're new to the hobby and you've made a bit of a mess of your rescribing, because it basically enhances whatever's there. So all you're doing is enhancing your mistakes, if you like. Ditto if you've got some, you know, problems with seam lines and stuff like that, it will also enhance all that. So I wouldn't recommend it if you've got issues there. But basically, if you've got a good model and it's you know, it's a nice model with scale panel lines and stuff, then I'd advise this is a great way to go for panel line enhancement. It's environmentally friendly. It's not chemical based. It doesn't stink the house out. You're not going to damage any of your paints or anything with it because it's water based. You know, it's just good all round really. Negative side, I can't think of one, to be honest. There we go. You can see getting into the corners can be difficult, but what we can do then is just get a cotton bud, just wet the cotton bud and go into the corners like so, get it out of there. There we are. You can see the kind of effect you can get with it, and believe me, once we've got a matte coat on and it's all dulled down, it'll look 10 times better. But I'll get it done now, get the rest of it done, get it all off, and then I'll come back. Oh well, let's look at the underside. You've seen that side, haven't you? So I'll get it all off and then I'll come back. Right, so we're all done, all rubbed off. I will give it another check because, as I said earlier, remember, once you get a sealing coat on top of this, you can't go back. So like I've just noticed in here, I've got an area there where it's built up, and you know, it's worth remembering that it's easy to rub off, but once you've got a sealing coat on there, that's it. Okay, so if you see a big patch that you've missed and you've sealed it in, it's too late. So you can sand the sealing coat off and sand this away, but it's much easier just to deal with it now and get it, you know, get it off as well as you can. You'll see in some areas, like around this decal here, where it hasn't really gone into the panel line. I've cut it, but it still hasn't gone in. So there's a line there. There's actually a recess there. You could probably see it if I catch it in the light, but it's just not deep enough to hold the flory wash in there. So what I'm going to do is I've got this. This is the Modeller's World Oil Wash Black Brown. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit on the brush and just put that down into there, and that will go into that panel line. Okay, and it's one of the things. Certainly when I go to shows, if I'm looking at models in magazines or whatever, it's one of the things I look for. If somebody's put decals on and you've got like panel lines like this, and then whether there's a decal, there's no panel line, I just think it looks really naff. So I always sort of make sure that I've got panel lines that match through the decals. So I'll do the same in here. Okay, do the same here. This one's pretty good actually, but we'll just brush some down there anyway. And then underneath, where we've got these 4 circles on that seam line, you can see that I've scribed them and they're there. But again, they're not deep enough to hold the wash. So, oil wash, that will go around it. Okay, and then we just leave this on there for a few minutes just to start to go off, and then we can remove the excess. And that is, I mean, an oil wash is really superior to the flory wash, but it's nothing like as easy to apply. You know, it's just not as good, basically. It's not as easy to apply, should I say. But for fine details like this, you know, the flory wash won't get in there, because after all it is clay suspended in water and other chemicals, whereas obviously the oil wash is a liquid, so it can go in. So we can brush that in there. And we've actually got rivet detail on an Airfix kit, so why not enhance it, because we don't often get rivet detail on Airfix kits, do we? So, and that's not, I'm not knocking Airfix, I'm just saying we don't often get rivet detail, because a lot would say rivet detail is inaccurate anyway because you don't see it in real life. But, there we go, we've got some more down there as well, so I'm going to paint some on there. Okay, and again, as long as you haven't sealed this in, you can mess with it and remove it and do whatever you want with it. Right, so we can leave that like that to dry. And there we go, and you can see on that decal it started to dry out, so I should be able to come in with a paper towel there we go, and now you can see we've got the wash in the panel lines rather than having them looking white and everything. So there we go. Same on here, just wipe that off. Wipe that off. And it just gives it that more uniform look rather than having it sort of disappearing. Now on these fin flashes I haven't actually cut them in. So what I think I'm going to have to do is come along with a knife. Where is my knife? Here it is. Okay, I'm going to pick up the panel line. I'm going to run the knife along the panel line through the decals. Okay, and you can see that straight away the panel line has appeared. Do the same on this side. Make sure the camera isn't focusing on the wingtip, which is my favourite trick. Just run along that panel line through those decals, just like that. And if we put a drop of this on, what we should find is it will go into that panel line. There we go. And it will carry that panel line then through the decal, so the decal looks like it's painted on rather than a sticker. Okay? And then probably straight away we can wipe that off. There we go. There we go. You can see the edges of the decal have slightly chipped, but that's all great, just adds to the weathering. But, if you want to avoid that, you go over with some microsol and it will pull it all down. Or it's quite easy, if you want to touch it up, you can touch it up. This blue is actually a perfect match for X4. Tamiya X4 the blue is a perfect match for it. So worth remembering. So there we are. So there's our panel lines enhanced, and underneath here we've got this rivets and stuff. Got those circles, I can wipe them off. You can see the circles of now. That one there could do with a redo. We can wipe those oils off of there with a dry cloth. And if they are a bit stubborn like they are here, what we do is we get some of the enamel thinners, sorry, the modeller's oil thinners. Get an upturned pot, just put a drop in there, we don't need much, and then I can dip this in there and just wipe those oils away. And as you can see, the rivet detail is so light, the wash isn't picking up in it. Okay, there we go. So happy with that's come out. I'm not going to worry too much about that one, I don't think. Maybe just put a drop in there again. You'll let it dry this time and then rub it off. It won't be so easily pulled out then. So we'll let that dry and then we'll go over the cotton bud with some oil and just get rid of the excess. But there we go. As I say, you've got areas like this streak here, you get rid of that. Just get rid of everything before you put the wash on. The sealing coat. Because once you've got the sealing coat on there, it's all too late. Down in there with something. I think I'll get down in there with a wet brush. Just remove all that excess from in there. And there we go. So, give us another quick wipe down and then we'll see how we're looking. Right, so we're all rubbed down now, ready to go, and it's time to give it a flat coat. Giving it a flat coat is going to take away the gloss. It's going to give us a nice base to work with, and any weathering we do now is going to really stick to the surface because it's matte rather than just rub off like this stuff has. So basically I'm going to try this one here. This is the Alclad Lacquers Clearcoat Flat. Remember I used the gloss on the bottom and it worked okay, it didn't dry. So what I thought I'd do is an experiment, and I'll get my Buster wing out, and what we'll do is we'll take an area that's glossy. So I know this is aqua gloss on here, so it's the same, we've got decals and everything. So I'm just going to try this, and it's about 18 psi. Spray it very lightly. When you're doing flats, you build them up very, very lightly. If you go puddling them on like this, they tend to not dry flat. If you do that, they tend to not dry very flat. You need to put them down very lightly and just let them just sit there. So let's see what's going to happen with this. I've actually puddled that on and it is actually drying flat. So we're okay, we know we're not going to get any glossy bits. So that's good to know. And it is drying. So we know we're okay, we're safe to use it. So let's just do a little bit, let's try it. Just lay it down normally. I'm not going heavy, not going light. Just laying it down normally. And that's, yeah, that's lovely. Right, so we can start to actually paint the model. Obviously I'll do a little bit on camera and then I'll turn it off because I'm going to get in the booth. So I'm going to start with this wingtip here. So just very lightly going down. And you can see how it's taking away the gloss. And it's sealing everything in. There we go, that's our airbrush empty. So we can see there that we've got a lovely, when you look at this side here, we've got the sheen and everything, and on this side here, nothing. It's just flat and dull. There's a tiny bit of a sheen there, but nothing much at all. So I'll get the rest of this done. I'm going to give it another coat after, and then I'll be back when all the underside's done, and then when that's dry we can turn it over and do the top, and then we'll really see this this wash start to pop. You can see the effect we're getting now. It's all looking dirty and grubby and grimy. So there we are. Right, so you can hear the extractor going in the background. Basically she's done, I've done all these little bits and pieces. Unfortunately we have the Royal Air Force Bomber Wee rather than Bomber Wing. There was some silvering on there. I got some enamel thinners out, and as soon as I touched it, it just took the decal off. So obviously the decal hadn't stuck down in that corner. I don't know why. It's just because I'm terrible with decals, I guess. But yeah, we unfortunately during the time when they changed the Kiwi, the roundel to the Kiwi, they stole the N and the G as well. Okay, yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So there we go. That's the bomb doors done. All the undercarriage doors done. All flat coated. Everything all nicely done. I'm going to put that safely in its box. So there we are. And if you want to see how she looks, I had a change of heart. I moved away from the Alclad. Something I don't know, and I guess it's something we can test. I don't know if this stuff is resistant to enamel thinners. So this has only been down for about half an hour. So let's get some on a cotton bud. In fact, let's just get some on a Tamiya bottle and try it. So see if it's resistant to it. It looks like it may be, I don't know, we'll have to do a trial when it's had a little bit more time to dry. So I ended up using Tamiya XF86 with the Mr. Colour rapid thinners, which I was told if I use that and I spray it lightly and keep a distance I will get a dead flat finish, and I haven't got a dead flat finish. It's fairly flat, but it's not dead flat. But in this case I think it's probably a lot more accurate, because I haven't seen Vulcans actually dead flat. But there she is. You can see now what she's looking like. All underneath is done, all dulled back. Okay, really looking the part now, even if I say so myself. It's got that very slight sheen to it. You can see there reflecting in the light. The cameras make it look a lot worse than it is. It's going to get another flat coat anyway after everything's gone on, because I'm going to be using oils and stuff, and as you know they take forever to dry, so I'll be putting something on just to seal everything in. But I think when you look at her now around the nose and everything, she's looking lovely. And there we go. So happy with how she's come out. So I'm going to leave that all to dry now for a while, and then we'll start looking at doing some weathering. Okay, so this has had a while to dry now. I'm thinking what I need to do now is unmask these intakes, because if we're going to do any weathering we don't want them to be perfectly clean and have everything else dirty. So I'm going to get in here with a pair of tweezers and start to remove some of this foam. Let's get this light a bit better for you. So let's get in here and see if we can pull this foam out. Yeah, it's glued in there with the masking solution, but it will come out. There we go. Now we can look down in there and we can see down in there our engines, our engine faces. This here is just masking tape, I think, from memory. Yep. So that's going to pull out. Now we've got to get out this masking tape that I put in that caused so many people to tell me I was doing everything wrong. So let's see how this goes. So get in there, get under that masking tape, just pull it away, then go in with a pair of tweezers and pull this tape out, and hopefully it doesn't pull any paint off, because it'll be a nightmare to repair if it does. And we can see how this comes out, see how it all looks. I've had people telling me you can use the FOD guards as a mask, but I don't understand how you can use the FOD guards, because you won't get a sharp edge. So I don't get that, but I know there are a lot of builds going on with this model, so I'm sure somebody else has done it and made it work somehow. Get off. Right, so let's get this, get under here and get the rest of this out if we can. Get into that corner. I should be able to grab that tape. Yep. Oh, it's just one little bit came out. Get off. A little bit. It's all just little bits and pieces coming out. There we go. It's looking good at the moment. So we've got a nice clean edge, which is what I was hoping for, obviously. Be careful not to scratch this paint. Just lift the tape and then pull it out. There we go. Then pull that last bit out, and there we go. And I'm happy with how that's come out. You can see our intake there, nice and neat and tidy, nice sharp edge around it, and then we can look down and we can see our exhausts, our intakes. So I'll get the other one done and then I'll come back. Okay, here we go. So they're done now, and you can see down in there, all nice and clean, all nice and sharp, and looking lovely in my opinion. I might do a little bit of a clean up on that front edge. That one there needs it. You can see on there we've got a little bit of a mark on there. I might just go in there with a little bit of white paint and just touch that in. We shall see. I might be able to just scratch the green off. Let's get a cocktail stick and see if I can do that again. A lot of people thought I did that on the spine on purpose the other day. I might be able to scratch that green paint away because it's missed the surface underneath it. There we go. That seems to have worked. On this side. There we go. So I think I still need to touch it up, but it certainly looks a lot better. So there we are. So I'm going to call that a day for this video, guys, because basically this dull coat on here needs to be allowed to dry before I start attacking it with oils and stuff. So I'm going to call it a day, and then I can get a video out. Otherwise it's going to be another day you're going to be waiting to see part 21. Is this? Yeah. So we'll call that a day for now. Give you another quick look of it on the top, underneath, and we can start getting all this. In fact, we'll do that now. We can start to take out our masking here. So now we can see how our Bombay looks compared to the rest of it, and you can see it's got that dirty tarnish look, and now it sort of doesn't look so dirty, does it? Because the rest of the plane is dirty too. Let's have a look at these wheelbays. I think I may have to drill these. So let's grab a drill. So we can just drill down through the middle. Be careful as it goes through, because I don't want to smack into the bottom and make a great big dig in it. There we go. So that's through, and I should be able to, there we go. Leave that out. So do the same on this side. There we go, we're through. Pull that one out, blimey, that's tight. Here we go. And then the nose gear bear I think will pop out. There we are. And you can see we've got that kind of yellow staining in there, which is what I was after. It's looking good. It's like a yellow browny look to it. It's hydraulic-y, dirty, yucky sort of look. And that's exactly what I wanted. So happy that that's come out. I guess we can also pull this out as well now. There we go. We can see up inside there For those that want to know what you can see the ladder, you can see the fire extinguishers at the back of the seats. There you go. So here we are. I'm happy with that. Looking good, even if I do say so myself. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little video. It's about half an hour long, maybe just a bit more. And I'll see you all soon for part 22, when we're going to start getting some weathering down. And then I think we're going to have to look at getting the undercarriage on. And we can start looking at getting the bombs in and stuff as well. So we're sort of nearly there, guys. Once we've got the weathering done, we'll mask up and spray these exhausts as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.